All right, we'll call the June the 5th meeting to order with a moment of silent meditation, please. All right. Let's have a pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Mr. Manager, take off.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item number 3 on the agenda is for action. It's adoption of the agenda as presented or amended.
All right.
A motion to approve the agenda is presented.
All right. Is there a second? Darrell's motion?
I'll second.
A motion by Darrell, second by Christine. We approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, let's move on.
Item number 4 is the consent agenda. This is an action item. This item includes approval of the minutes of the regular and closed meeting May 1st, 2019, approval of minutes recessed workshop meeting on May 15th, 2019, approval of the audit contract for fiscal year 2019 with Dowdy and Osborne, approval of the updated fee schedule, approval of resolution 2019-09 for the National Incident Management Plan, and approval of resolution 2019-10, acceptance of the grant for water infrastructure.
All right. We've got a motion on that too.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda
Okay.
as adopted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Hannah, second by Eddie, that we approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Item number 5 on the agenda. This is public comment. It is for information. Members of the public are invited to address the Board of Commissioners on any topic. Please come forward to the podium and identify yourself so that your statements can be taped. 3 minutes per person, 5 minutes per group. If anyone wishes to speak later in the meeting on a listed agenda item, please state your name and the agenda item, and you will be recognized at that time. Action on items brought up during the public comment period will be at the discretion of the board. Public comment is not intended to require the board to answer any impromptu questions. Speakers will address all the comments to the board as a whole and not one individual commissioner. Discussions between speakers and members of the audience will not be allowed. Please state your name and location for the record.
All right. Is it on? Ms. Benson?
Sarah Benson, 309 Agona in Manteo, North Carolina. Just a word of thanks. The town of Manteo litter pickup in honor of Rodney Crow Murray happened on May 18th. It was a big success. I want to extend our thanks. We had about 46 plus volunteers, Manteo Rotarians, students, Go Far participants, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, some church groups, and 2 military personnel who came from Camp Lejeune, dressed and ready to go in the water. These 2 ladies were great in the marshes, so we give thanks for that. We also give thanks for Coastal Federation, who also cleaned the marshes. Found a lot of storm debris, what you can imagine, lumber, that kind of thing. And so, as always, some unusual trash that was, we awarded a books store certificate to the kids that found the unusual trash. I just want to say a special word of thanks to Melissa Dickerson, Frankie Woodley, and Barry Wicker. Melissa and I meet early in the year. This pickup is spring and fall. And I just want to thank you for being so organized, for paying attention to all the details, and making it so seamlessly easy. So thanks for a great event. And one of the staff from the town of Manteo said, you know, we keep the town clean, which is true, but this is like a really deep clean, and we appreciate everything the volunteers do. So thank you for coming out, all the neighbors who are here. I see many of you. It was a great event. And then the second thing I'd like to say, a thank you, especially to Mr. Mayor, to you, for your support for the Go Far race. We had Outer Banks race for our Go Far participants, 300 and some kids. We served about 500 kids this year, from Hatteras all the way up to Kitty Hawk Elementary School. And though it was rained out, the 5K was rained out and delayed, we had a lot of sad faces, but we all ran the 1 mile together, and it was really wonderful. So thanks to the commissioners for allowing us to have that race, and a special thanks to Marcia's Light, the neighborhood. And I see coaches in our audience, thanks to them. But Marcia's Light neighborhood came out and cheered us on, which was really, really important. And we had commissioners at the town litter pickup too, which was really important. So those two big events supported by a lot of people, we appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Benson. Next.
Good evening. My name is Meredith Midget. I live in Vista Lake right now. I own my family home located at 506 Lord Essex Avenue. I am a Manteo native. For at the last 5 generations, this piece of property has been in my family since August of 1899. That's over 119 years. On June the 3rd, I had my house rented because I couldn't afford to stay in it, all the expenses, so I have it rented to help me with my income. On June the 3rd, my tenant got in touch with me and told me that Melissa Dickerson was knocking on their door and demanding that their car be removed from the driveway in front of my house on Lord Essex Avenue, that they were having a contractor rip out the sidewalk and curb cuts, and that they would no longer be able to park in the driveway. I got to the family home as soon as I could. Both Mr. Ayers and Melissa Dickerson were there. Jeff was with me. He's been managing the property for me due to my ill health that has been going on for well over a year. I was told that both curb cuts would be removed, the sidewalk would be made solid, no one would be able to use the front yard for parking anytime in the future. I was told that I was in violation of zoning ordinance for 2 curb cuts that were put in by the town, not by me. It is required, is it required or not, that all violations be cited and letters written to the owner, giving the owner ability to respond to the claims within 30 days. I have never received any notice of any kind from anyone. Am I being persecuted because of my age? Do they think that my faculties are gone? That I don't know what is fair and right and just? Notification requirements have not been met per the ordinance that was quoted to me. No consistency or fairness with which laws or ordinances are chosen to be enforced. Doesn't appear to me to be. Subdivision of property was done. The original curb cut was on the newly formed lot. What section of the ordinance refuses me access to my yard on the less traveled street? What section of ordinances would require only access from the backyard on a street not designated as a legal address? I found each lot is allowed only one curb cut and feel mine should be at the front of the home with a legal address of 506 Lord Essex Avenue. I am requesting my curb cut be on Essex, the less traveled street. Other houses with 2 curb cuts are supposedly grandfathered in, and they're not apparently affected by any of these ordinances. The ordinance states I can have one 24-foot wide driveway with 36 feet at an apron rather than 2 small cuts currently there. The town of Manteo should do this since they put in the other curb cuts and I didn't request them. The only enforcement of 3-hour parking is in front of my house. What about the Cameron House Inn, the McOwen home that have used Lord Essex for their own personal parking and business parking for many years? What section of the ordinance allows you to pick and choose who you will or will not pick on to enforce ordinances? You need to be fair and consistent in enforcing ordinances and treat all property owners by the same set of rules. My plea for help could make me eligible for a Board of Adjustment hearing. The $500 fee would be very costly to me, but if that's what's necessary, then that will be my next step. I would like some answers to the situations that I have mentioned here from either the town manager and or the town lawyer regarding my complaints. Jeff, do you have anything to add?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bridget. Is there anyone else who'd like to be heard? As you know, I'm going to say we can't respond to anything as we said in a previous thing, but I'm hoping that the town will at least pursue it and see where we are, and your board adjustment would certainly be a legal matter that you could move on, but maybe we can take it under, I'm not saying that we can or can't, but I'm saying we should look at it. And I certainly know Miss Midget's sister. I knew her too, but I went to school with Doreen, and she helped me graduate. I would have never graduated without her. All right, thank you. Does anyone else like to be heard? Yes, sir. Step right up.
My name is Mark Wickstrom, and I live at 504 Lord Essex. I'm my next door neighbor. And I would say, you know, I look out the window pretty often every day. That is not a less traveled street. That is quite a busy street. And there are people that cut through the, right in front of my house and go right through Cemetery Road. I've never really understood why that is such a high travel path. And I can understand the high school students are going through there all the time. It's a shortcut. But I just wanted to clear that record that that is not a street that nobody uses. It's very busy sometimes. And then on Sunday, it's, of course, in close proximity to the Methodist Church, and the whole street is packed, which we have no problem with. We love having the people from the congregation parking in front of our house. We work it out. The other thing I would like to say is, I looked at those curb cuts, and I think the one that is within maybe 10 or 15 feet of the corner of Devon and Lord Essex, it really doesn't make any sense, because when somebody backs out of that, if somebody's coming down Devon either direction and they want to take a quick turn, they're gonna T-bone somebody. It just doesn't make any sense. That person backing out of that far curb cut has to basically make a 3-point turn. They have to back out, block the whole street, move one more time, and then go on wherever they're going to go, either direction. So I'm just saying that at least one of those curb cuts doesn't make any sense at all. And I don't think there's physically enough room for a circular driveway there. I don't know if you can even turn a car. I don't know the physics behind it, but you can't do a radius turn on there. I want to thank the city also for coming down and speaking about that subject. I don't know all the details of the negotiations that are going on right now, but James, thank you for coming down, and Melissa, thank you for coming down. And I know you're trying to address these issues, and I respect what you're doing for the city. And to close, I will just say that I'm a new resident to this town. I just moved here last September, and I want to thank the city of Manteo for having such an excellent sanitation staff. Those guys are all great. They're pleasant. I've befriended a couple of them, and what a professional service that you offer here with the garbage pickup, with all the things that you do. You keep the city clean. And as a resident, I'll try to do the same thing. So thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Mr. Fearon.
Alvin Fearon from Manteo. I don't do social media, but I've heard about social media, about Dare Days. And I'm going back a little ways. And Jewel and Mark and what was his name? Blizzard that won the tourist bureau?
Rolf.
No, not Rolf.
Blizzard.
John Blizzard. John Blizzard.
John Blizzard.
BB and a few of us were on the Dare Day committee. And so Dare Days is special to me. And I want to compliment James, staff, Melissa, on what they did under the circumstances. And you all know what those circumstances are, and I'm not going to get into public conversation about what those circumstances were that y'all or your staff, James, had to face with pulling off Dare Days. I don't go to many of them. Typically I'm working, but it was so pretty. Susan didn't have a list for me. So I sat in front of the courthouse and talked to people and watched the crowds. And again, I think it was under the circumstances y'all had to pull Dare Days off in such a short length of time. I think your staff, as always, did an excellent job. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Malcolm. Anyone else? Linda Arvin.
Linda Midget. Most of you know me, and I know a lot of y'all. And I want to thank Malcolm for those kind words. I have met our new town manager, and I support him, and he's doing a good job, and this was his first event. And I hope he stays with us a long time. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Linda.
Well, nobody knows who I am, so I don't guess I need to say. But I want to go back to, where's Malcolm? Back in the beginning when we did Dare Days, and I shared this with our new town manager a few days ago. It was a community event. That was the purpose. It brought us all together across the county. It was to celebrate our county, our town, and we had, our purpose was basically to share all of the wonderful things that are in our county. In recent years, it's kind of faltered somewhat, but I would have to say, I would like to thank this board and the county manager for their efforts to propose in the new budget, which I believe you guys have before you tonight, a new position for our town that will undertake all of these efforts to coordinate events, promote our town the way it should be. We're the only town around that doesn't, and we have more to offer than anybody else around us. So I would like to commend our board tonight for the proposal to have a new position to come in and to take on these duties and responsibilities. I think it is important. I think we need it because we need to start thinking about why we are doing these events. It's not just doing an event to have an event. We need to determine how it works best. You know, a lot of our businesses close on these events because they don't get any business. Nothing works for them, so they just close. And it's become more of a food vendor show than it has anything else. So I'm really pleased that you are going forward with this in the new budget, and that we will have somebody coming on that will evaluate all of this and work to make these things so that they're beneficial to our citizens, our community, and our businesses, as well as our visitors that come to enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bibi.
Thank you, baby. Anyone else? Would anybody else like to be heard? All right, we'll bring the public comment period to a close.
Item number 6 on the agenda. This is the public hearing to receive comments on the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget. This item is for information. In order to enter a public hearing, a motion, second, and vote is required.
All right, can we have a motion to open public comment? Public hearing.
I move to open public hearing.
All right.
I second.
Motion by Christine, seconded by Darrell, that we move to open public hearing for fiscal year 2019-20 budget. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. All right, now we're open for a public hearing on the proposed new budget. Don't rush up to the podium. Would anyone like to be heard as proposed to the budget? I assume most of it's interested in it and has read it. All right, I'm just going to ask one more time. Would anybody like to be heard on the budget? We'll bring the budget hearing to a close.
I motion to close public hearing.
Okay.
I second.
Motion by Darrell, second by Nancy, that we close the public hearing to the proposed budget. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Budget hearing is now closed.
Item number 7 on the agenda, old business. This is for action. There's one item under old business. That is the approval of the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget.
All right. It's going better than I thought it would. Is there a motion to approval of the fiscal year budget?
I move to approve the budget.
Second.
That's presented. Second.
Motion by Richard Burt that the new budget be approved, seconded by Hannah Fry. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, we have us a new budget, and it's in there, baby.
Item number 8, new business. This is for action. The Purpose here is to schedule a public hearing for a text amendment on a tattoo parlor. I'd like to clarify, this is simply to schedule the public hearing, not actually to have the discussion here. But we do need to schedule that hearing, and just to clarify, the text amendment location, it's B1 Village Business District and B2 General Business District.
All right. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll move to schedule a public hearing for the tattoo
Okay.
parlor.
Motion by Richie. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Nancy. That we have scheduled a public hearing for text amendment change,
This is July the 3rd?
July 3rd, 6:30. Everybody,
And this is-
can we have a motion on approval of the motion?
I'm good.
Everybody, all right, everybody in favor? All right,
Yes,
Okay.
aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. All right,
Items number 9 and 10 on the agenda are both for information. These are closed sessions. The first one is a closed session in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 143.318.11A5, personnel. Number 10, it's another closed session, North Carolina General Statute 143.318.11A3, to consult with the town attorney. These are for information.
all right, we got to have a motion go into closed session, I assume.
I move to go into closed session.
All right. All right, moved by Christine, seconded by Nancy, we go in closed session. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. We now declare ourselves in closed session.
Item number 11 on the agenda after the closed session and would include appointments to the 20-year plan update working group, which would be potentially an action item should the board choose to make that determination.
All right, we're now in closed session.
Private matters.
All right. Get going. Go ahead, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item number 11 on the agenda. These are the appointments to the 20-year plan update working group. This is an agenda item for action.
All right, you've seen the list of appointments, and we have discussed it, so what's the feelings of the board?
I'll move to appoint the following 20 people. I don't have to name them all, do I? I just need them list.
I think we should name them so they know who.
What did everybody signed up?
Go ahead.
20
Read them
people
all.
or 20 years?
Wow. Okay. B.B. Woody, Malcolm Ferry, Angel Corey, Todd Casole, John Middleton, Sarah Walston, Sarah Benson, William Moore Ramsey, Sherry Wickstorm, Tim Teeple, I don't know about that one, Michael McCarthy, Amy Wood, Doc Sawyer, Robin Sawyer, Janet Ellis, Dave Steeple, Douglas Backman, Elizabeth Collinger, Jason Moran, and your wife, and Bryn Bailey as the last.
All
I'll
right,
second.
you've heard the names, so what's the feelings of the board? Have a motion?
I'll second Rich's motion.
Richie, did you make the motion? Who made the motion?
I just read these names, I read.
Oh, well, I'd say, do you make the motion?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Motion by Richard Burke, second by Eddie Mann, that we approve the number of people that's been read out to be the working group of the 20-year plan. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, you got a working group for 20 years.
Item number 13 on the agenda, adjourn slash,
Did we say something about the plan?
All right, can we have a motion to adjourn? We don't have a reason to recess till, no, we do recess because it's a workshop.
We have commissioners.
Yeah, recess till,
Commissioner concerns, Mayor.
oh, gosh, I forgot all about it. We've been so involved. Yeah, Nancy, you have any comments? Any
no, sir.
concerns or what have you?
No, sir.
Christine?
I just thought of something. I attended the vigil last week on the gazebo pier and under the gazebo because it was getting ready to storm. And I just, it was such a nice, I can't hardly say it, but it was such a nice event. And I'm glad that we have that space available. I just want to make sure that it is a safe place as far as holding people there and things, and maybe what if there's like a number of people that gazebo and will hold for, if we have something in the file or if, if there's ever a question in the future, for an event to be held there, that it is safe for all the attendees.
Just make sure it's structurally sound.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
That it? Darrell?
Well, I talked to the youth center director. They're moving the youth center over to just beside the Manteo Elementary School. And I was figured that the board would consider some type of assistance to help them transition into the new building. She was asking that maybe they have old computers, if we could maybe either get a grant to get them 3 new computers or something that, for the kids to do their work with. And also they need a refrigerator. That's not much. Maybe we're kicking them out of the old place, so we should try to have those.
Yeah, we're moving them, so.
So, this is something for y'all to think about.
Well, why don't we bring it up, can we bring it up at the workshop? How about the workshop? It's only 2
Okay,
weeks
that's
away. Is
good.
that all right?
That's good.
And everybody can be thinking about, I know we're going to do something, we'll do something. But
All right.
Maybe you could talk to Ken too, at Manteo Furniture. He may be interested in, they have a lot of used refrigerators that they sell, and that maybe he would donate one.
Maybe in the meantime, our IT
All right.
man can press some computers.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got one more.
Wait a minute.
June 13th at the North Carolina Aquarium, we'll be presenting our Freedman Serpent Hero program to a national audience, 11 and 1. So if you can stop by and attend one of the programs that we give there, The Life and Time of Richard Etheridge. It's a national audience, so
When is that, the 13th?
13th, 11 and 1.
All right.
11 of
Town lawyer, town attorney, not lawyer, town attorney.
Our Shallow Bag Bay legislation should be coming up in front of the House Finance Committee next week. And so after that is when it ought to go to the House floor. So I'm hopeful that here in the next 2 weeks, we should get some good movement on that legislation. I just want to let the board know that.
All right. Richie?
Yes, I would like to thank the manager and the town staff for the Dale Day celebration. I thought it was very nice. It meant a lot to me to have that going on and to keep the tradition going. Thank you. And thank you.
Eddie?
I want to thank everybody for showing up today and volunteering to be on the working group. It means a lot that everybody's volunteering to put forth their efforts, and we look forward to getting your input, good or bad. I appreciate that you all are able to make a criticism, good or bad, about the town, and feel open enough to contribute your opinion. So thank you all.
Han?
BB, back when the Dare Days back in early 70s, wasn't it a 2-day event? Or was it?
And it was also, we had events that were in Paris as well, with different towns.
We had is that the same time we had the hydroplane races too? The little hydroplanes or?
Yep, and hydroplane races, you'll remember, we did the beach apparatus, we had Hartford do the beach apparatus.
Right, that's right.
Across from what was the?
Pirates Jamboree.
the sewage plant.
Right,
Down,
yeah.
And we, out back, I rode the breaching fluid across from there
Oh, okay,
to the playground.
okay.
I forgot about
We
that.
did
Yeah.
a lot of those kind of things where we involved, like the aquarium and educational things as well, where the kids do like something, wasn't just a dancing hall.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I thought so.
it's a good group.
That it, Ham?
No, other than, I mean, have we heard from DOT on some of these grates yet on the,
No, sir.
okay. That was, I mean, that was, I saw the Cheesemans and talked to them on the way over here, and, you know, they walk the street every day, and as Ms. Benson runs the street and Rodney walks it, and those grates are, you know, 5 or 6 inches deeper than the side of the road, and I just don't want somebody to twist an ankle or lose the front end of their car if they, I mean, I know we're supposed to bring our trash cans in and our recycles in every day, and I purposely left my recycle can out here on the drain grate for a week. I never heard from anybody from DOT, so I want to thank the town for at least putting our cones out there just to keep people from, you know, getting hurt at night or running off the, you know, when 2 cars pass, one hits it and knocks their wheel out of line or whatever.
Thank you.
But it'd be nice to hear from somebody from DOT. I don't think it's a pretty easy fix.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all I have.
All right, I'm going to finish up saying sincere kudos to the town manager and the entire staff for Dare Days. I don't think many of the normal public realized what was happening, but there was some thought that Dare Days was going to fall apart and it would never happen, and I think it was one of the better Dare Days we've had as a result of the town managers getting involved and him involving his staff totally to this commitment. And there was some major work that went on behind the scenes by everybody that worked for the town of Manteo, and I can't thank you enough because I've heard nothing but praises from Dare Days, and I just wanted to thank you, Mr. Manager, for what you did, and the staff too. So that's all I have. I think it was typical Manteo style. Everybody grabbed hold and took off, and here we go again. All right, that's all for tonight. And now we'll recess for the workshop till June 19th, 4 o'clock. Meeting adjourned.